I think the best way to start explaining this practice is just to tie into the 3 forms of breath work that we're going to be using tonight. The first is called long deep breathing. It's incredibly cryptic, but if you pay attention to the title, what you're going to do is you're going to breathe long and deep. The best way to really tap into this is to imagine dividing our breath into 3 parts. So with the first section of the breath, really focus on the sensation of the breath expanding the lower belly. It's almost as if the act of the diaphragm dropping down is sending that sensation, pushing the organs and the awareness of the breath down in between the hips, almost into the bowl of the pelvis. So as you take that first breath, the first section fills the lower belly. The second section, really feel it climbing up into the middle of the chest and ribs here, so you feel the space in between each rib kind of start to lift and separate. And for the third section of the breath, really be aware that our lungs climb all the way up to here. So you're going to feel the collarbones lift, the shoulder blades spread and separate. Then as we exhale, it's just simply the reverse order of that. So as you exhale the first portion, you feel the collarbones and the shoulder blades come down, the ribs soften down and in, and the belly comes back towards the spine. So we start dividing this breath into 3 parts: lower belly, middle ribs, collarbones and shoulders. Exhale, collarbones and shoulders, ribs, belly. And the more you practice, the more you become comfortable with this division of the breath, the more it becomes a fluid, seamless inhale from the bottom up, exhale from the top down. So just take a moment if you want to re-root your sits bones, shift from side to side, and make sure your weight is evenly distributed on the hips. If you need to, like me, you can manually adjust the butt fat, to use the technical term. Really feel nice and rooted. And just tap into that 3-part breath. So inhale through the nose, back of the neck long and lifted, and just feel the lower belly expand first, then the ribs and the center chest, then the collarbones and shoulders. As you exhale, collarbones and shoulders soften, the ribs come back down to your center line, belly comes back to the spine. And just play with this for a few breaths, really tying into this long deep breathing. This is going to be our home base for tonight. So in between each set, each exercise, this is where you want to return. Just eyes closed and relaxed, focused up at the center of the forehead, and really feel that long deep breath. You don't have to try to go painfully slow. You're not forcing a specific rate or a specific pattern. Just allowing that awareness to let the first part of the breath sink down, slowly climb up to the top, and exhale in the reverse order. And however, if you're breathing 8 breaths a minute, that's beautiful, 16, wherever you're at, as long as you're focused on that awareness of the sensation, building from the bottom up and exhaling from the top down. The next breath pattern that we work with in Kundalini Yoga, which is fairly common in most practices, is breath of fire. Sounds kind of fancy, sounds like a kind of special name, it's a little bit of that. It's a very powerful breath, it's a very rapid breath, with equal emphasis on the exhalation and the inhalation. I'm going to describe it a lot real quick, and some of you might immediately know what I'm talking about, and some of you might get a little funky, but as soon as I show you, it's going to make perfect sense. So the breath is powered by the exhalation, the contraction of the lower navel center and the core here as it pushes in towards the spine, or pulled in towards the spine. That pushes the air out. As you relax the belly, the breath naturally falls back in by the vacuum that it's just created there. But again, you're not putting equal emphasis, you're not putting extra emphasis on one or the other. It's equal inhale and exhale, equal duration, equal power. It's a very purifying breath. It's kind of relaxing and stimulating at the same time. It's supposed to strengthen the nervous system and help push toxins out from various parts of the system. Just like watching a baby is the best way to tie into long deep breathing, the best way to tie into breath of fire is to watch your dog after you've taken him on a walk during the month of summer. Normally this is done through the nose, but just to learn for the first time, it's easiest for most people to have the tongue kind of hanging out a little bit like a puppy dog. You can put your hand right on the belly here, and simply as you contract and squeeze the muscles of the abs and the lower navel in towards the spine, you're going to feel that push the air out. As you relax, the air is going to come back in. The chest is allowed to stay pretty relaxed and just kind of neutral in this exercise because the movement of the abdomen is what's powering the diaphragm here. So the muscles of the diaphragm aren't working too hard, it's all the belly that's doing the work. So this looks nice and silly, like this. So don't be afraid, everyone. Come on in. It's good to look a little silly. Alright, now let the mouth close and with that same breath continue through the nose. Nice. Keep the back of the neck lifted to the top of the crown, rising up to the head ceiling. Exhale and relax. And the last thing we're going to work with, we're only going to do this for a little bit in class tonight, but this is a great thing just to do for your home practice, or if you're having a little trouble sleeping or just like want to calm yourself or cool down a little bit. It's called Sitalti Pranayama. It's used to treat blood pressure and fever and digestive issues. It's a very cooling and soothing breath. It's supposed to stimulate digestive energy and, from one of the manuals, robust sexual energy. So if you would like some of that turned up a little bit, this might be a nice technique to try. But it's very simple in any posture that is comfortable for you with a straight spine and a length in the back of the neck. You curl the tongue, lift left. Inhale through the curled tongue. Close the mouth, let the tongue come in the mouth, rest for a moment, and then exhale through the nose. If you're one of those people whose tongue doesn't curl too well, you can place the tongue between the teeth, like this, and inhale around the sides of the tongue. You're still going to get that cooling sensation. You're going to be able to feel the coolness of the air, like actually change the temperature of your tongue. And then exhale through a closed mouth through the nose. This is just nice and simple. Excellent. So that's the breakdown for the main breath patterns. There are some others using Kundalini. There's some segmented breathing where you inhale and force and just hold for a 3 count, exhale, however many. Any combination you can think of, we usually use. We're not going to play with that tonight. There's also a whistling pranayama, which I think is really fun. It's not class either, where it's just as tricky as long breathing sounds. You whistle as you breathe, which is really powerful.